Hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Yay. Hello, and welcome to Beyond Small Talk every Thursday at the 4 o'clock hour, Eastern Standard Time hour. Thank you for joining. My name is Jackie Janik, and I am a women's empowerment coach, helping women uncover their purpose and define their own path in the world. And today you are watching Beyond Small Talk. Real women, real conversations, elevating womankind one talk at a time. And I am so super excited to have my co-host today. Hi, my life is a doormat. How are you? Thank you for joining. Her name is Lea Gober, and she is the founder of Blake and Rose at Blake and Rose. And also there's blakeandrose.com that has beautiful accessories and handbags. I see that she just joined, and today our topic is called The Minimalist Traveler. Lea is a young professional passionate about experiencing the world and encouraging others to do the same. So let's get Lea on. Ooh, so excited. Lea will be joining us today talking about being a minimalist traveler. What does that even mean?
Oops, sorry.
Hi. Hey, Lea.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you feeling today?
I'm so good. Just dropping my phone, making it super awkward. But, here we are.
As long as we can hear you, that's probably the best part. Oh my God, so happy. Thank you for joining today.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, absolutely. So we've never met in person before, but I was just so intrigued by one, Blake and Rose, and how did that start and the name. And when I started to read about you, I was like, that's so beautiful. You could tell us more, but just the names, I mean, when they came from your grandparents, I'm a diehard granddaughter, and I loved my grandparents so dearly that I was like, oh my God, we have to connect. And that you travel and you sell handbags. I was like, we're meant to be BFFs. Like, we're just meant to be friends.
It just kind of just happens.
It just happened.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about you and Blake and Rose?
Yeah, of course. So, my name is Lea once again. So I have a brand called Blake and Rose, and pretty much the whole premise of the brand is to encourage people to have authentic travel experiences, whatever that may look like for you. Um, and another part of the brand is being able to provide people authentic pieces from places or markets around the world. So right now we have a collection of handbags from Morocco that display what they're really known for. They're really known for their leathers. They're really known for their woven techniques. If you've ever been to Morocco or been through the souks or the markets or anything like that, then you would see that this is something that happens in their industry a lot there.
Awesome. No, I've never been to Morocco, but that sounds like such an awesome place to go to. Our topic today is the minimalist traveler, and I find that very interesting that that is on your bio of Blake and Rose. So I'm curious to know, what does that mean, minimalist? I don't know. I'm not quite a minimalist, so what does that mean?
I think when a lot of people think about
Yeah,
minimalists, they think of Marie Kondoing your life away, where you're just
yeah.
getting rid of stuff, which that is one part of it. It's but mostly it's just for me, it's about being mindful, kind of about how you interact with the world. So that goes from everything from how I choose to spend my money, where I choose to spend my money, to how I decide to travel. So it kind of runs the gamut. For me, I started being a minimalist about 3 or 4 years ago, where I felt like I just had a ton of stuff for no reason.
Yeah.
For no reason. I had to move from an apartment. It was super short notice. And I was just packing stuff up and was like, wow, I have a lot of shit. Why do I have so much stuff? And then I put it in storage and I was paying for the storage. I'm like, why am I paying for this? This doesn't make any sense. So I just started looking at the things that I spend my money on and how I was like, I don't need this. I only bought this once. I don't never use this. So I just started getting rid of a ton of stuff. So that has like really helped me like mentally wise, because it keeps kind of like a clear space for you to kind of think. And then also is just, it helps you money wise. If you're not spending your money on everything that comes out, if you really sit and think about something. I have stuff that I bought the other day and I wanted it at the point right now I don't want it, so I'm taking it back. So it just makes you really sit and think about, do I need this? Like what, like, is there something else I have at home that can like double time be used? Like, where am I putting my money, and where I spend my money at say about me? So
That's a great question. Like, where do you spend your money says about you.
yeah.
So I think I see a friend on here who's also my CFO, and she did the same thing for me. And she, several years ago, maybe almost 10 years ago, she took my credit cards away from me. And before that, my grandmother used to take my credit cards away from me and hide them on me because, yeah, I was just spending like you said, like not mindfully. And what did that even mean? Or why was I spending just like frivolously? Because did I want to keep up with the Joneses? Did I just want stuff? Like, do you
Yeah.
feel like sometimes, because you've traveled the world and seen other cultures, that is it maybe an American thing? Like we kind of just like stuff, and like what does
Yes.
that mean? If the more stuff we have, does that mean we're, the status, the like, what do you think about that, and what have you seen in other cultures?
It is definitely it's a really big American thing, because I mean I've gone to other friends, like I mean in general, like I studied abroad when I was in London, and I remember visiting a friend's house and they had this tiny refrigerator. Like it's a family of 4 people, but they had like
Mm-hmm.
a refrigerator that you would probably find in like an efficiency apartment in New York City. I think it's probably like the size of my refrigerator now. And it's just like they don't grocery shop. Like it's not a Costco's type of lifestyle. Like you buy what you
Got
need
it.
when you need it. Like
Mm-hmm.
you don't just accumulate things just because like it's on sale, or like you had a taste for some exotic cheese that costs $40 and it's just like, am I ever going to use this cheese before it goes bad? Like you kind of just buy for what you need when you need it. And you're more mindful around your purchases because you don't have the space for it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like you think about it too, like in Europe, a lot of the apartments and stuff like that too are a lot smaller. People are a lot smaller, so they don't need as much. I mean, you think of American homes, like how big our homes are here compared to places
Yeah.
outside. It's like, this is ridiculous. Like, what do you need this much space for? So I
No,
feel like,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
Yadi just commented a really good comment. Sorry to jump in,
no,
but she's like, finding fulfillment in things can be a real thing. Like we're finding fulfillment outside ourselves
yeah,
and in objects versus finding the fulfillment within ourselves through either, experiences or just having conversations like this or
yeah,
being mindful. So I do find it interesting. And, I'm one to say, like, I do shop as in like, I get wrapped up in that a bit. Like, oh, it's fall. I need new fall everything, or
right,
my daughter needs a new fall outfit for school. And it's like, does she really? But like you, I live in Long Island City, so I don't have like, a lot of massive space. And well, I liked how you say the Costco lifestyle. So you must have felt like during this COVID when people were stacking up with toilet paper, like, what is wrong? Like, it's toilet paper. Come on.
yeah. No, seriously, it's like, oh my gosh, like everybody, like, calm down. Like, you can go and get one, like a couple rolls. Like, you don't need to stock up for 7 months. Like, so we're not going through
Yeah.
apocalypse, well, kind of, but like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, it's
So it's
kind of crazy.
interesting. We find attachment to stuff. Like I'm attached to stuff too. So I'm curious, like how did you have a process before all this, Marie Kondo, you started minimizing things? Because I seem to get attached to things. Like I'll have like, not meaning like maybe my grandmother owned a brooch and I'd keep it, right? No,
Right.
like other things. I'm like, well, I wore that dress and now I need to keep it and I don't even fit in it. Like, do you have a system or any tips?
No, so I literally just did like a big splurge maybe like 3 weeks ago. Took a bunch of things to the Salvation Army, have a bunch of things that I need to post online to sell. But I kind of just go through things like, yeah, one, do I still fit it? Why am I holding on to it? How long ago did I fit it? Like, it's a really big question. I had a pair
Yeah.
of like dress pants like I really loved, but I literally wore them 8 years ago. So what am I holding on to them for? I'm not gonna fit into them again, and it's okay. I can just buy a new pair. So it's
Right.
just like if I really need it, and it's like I also work in an industry where I don't have to dress up very much. So I'm
Hmm.
sorry, it is very loud in my neighborhood.
That's okay.
But yeah, I think it's like really looking at around like why you're keeping it. Like, yeah, like some things you do want to keep. Like I have stuff for my aunt that means a lot to me, and I probably won't wear it, but I make sure that like I don't accumulate more stuff for that reason though. Especially like fast fashion stuff like that. I just
Hmm.
try not to like, for me, I just try not to purchase too much of stuff. It just keeps a clean slate for you to think. Like when you have like a really easy, like you can open your closet and say like, oh, I can pull this out. Like it's easier for you to kind of go about your day when you don't have to think too hard about like what's in front of you. You can put that energy into
Yeah.
other things. Um,
I think that's a really great point to where you're putting your energy, your thoughts,
yeah,
and if you have like a cluttered place, I've heard other people say this cluttered car or cluttered closet or cluttered desk is like a cluttered mind. You
yeah,
know, like how do you create that space in your mind for you to think and to have silence and quiet if everything around you feels all physically chaotic?
yeah,
Does that make sense?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
So when you started to like go through your, like clean out, get, minimize what you have, how did it apply to travel? Were you able, well, you
So
mentioned you have more money.
yeah, I mean, like that's the biggest thing. Like you start realizing where your money's going, because sometimes it's just so easy for you to, and food is a big one too. I mean,
Mm,
y'all love to go out to eat, or like after work, you end up going to happy hour 3 times after work, and then you spend $150 on liquor within the week. Like it
right.
just happens so quickly. So it just really makes you sit there and like kind of think. So after I kind of started doing the minimalist thing, I did notice that like, okay, like I didn't want as much stuff. And then also my bank account just started growing like
Mm,
it like a lot. So I downsized my apartment. I think my rent when I moved, my rent decreased by like almost 30%.
wow. Hmm.
Yeah, so that extra money that I was usually used to spending on rent, I could no put into my savings or travel. So I have a completely separate travel account. So that's one of the ways. It's like downsizing. Like I know for some people, a lot of people either A, want to keep up with the Joneses, or B, feel like that at a certain point in their life they're supposed to be someplace because like
Hmm.
society tells you like, oh, at 30 you should be buying a home, or like you should be doing this.
Yes.
Like you can do whatever the hell you want to do. Like I'm 32, I still have roommates, I don't care, like it's fine. Like it's okay, like it works for everybody. Has their own path to how they want to get there, and I think it's important to like stay true to what your path is and how you want to get there on your own. um but yeah, just like minimalism is like such a good way to kind of help fuel your fire for travel, because it takes the importance off of things and puts the importance on experiences. So
Oh, so where was the first place that you went with all this money?
So
Those.
I think probably the first place I went after I kind of got into the minimalist thing was I did a solo trip. It was my first solo trip. Um, and it was also my first time to Africa. And it was also my
Mm,
first time ever going like home where my family's from. So it was just like a lot of firsts.
yeah.
But yeah, I booked a solo trip to Portugal to go to Lisbon just randomly. And my family, our background is Cape Verdean, so a lot of Cape Verdeans actually live in Portugal because it was once a Portuguese colony. But I just happened to look up how much tickets were from Portugal to Cape Verde, and they weren't expensive. So I was like, I guess I'll book it. So I ended up just booking it. No clue. I don't speak any other language, barely English. Like, and I just kind of just went with the flow. And yeah, I spent 2 weeks between Portugal and Cape Verde. So
Wow. And how does it feel traveling solo? I think some people, are apprehensive of it, but I want to hear like what kind of experience it is or you can have when you travel solo.
I think it's really great. And that's probably like one of the questions that I get a lot is like, oh, well,
Mm.
who do you go with? And I was like, I go by myself. Like, you're like, oh, you're not scared? And I was like, no, not really. Like, I mean, I try to make like the same safe, like, for me, I know my neighborhood. Like, I feel safe walking home at 1 a.m. Now, I'm not gonna do that in a neighborhood or an area that I'm not familiar with. So I'm not gonna do that if I'm randomly in an area that I don't know. But traveling solo is, I feel like it's really rewarding because it makes you trust yourself.
Mm.
You don't really have anybody to fall back on. Like, and I mean, it's definitely hard. I missed a flight and almost got stuck in Cape Verde and was at the airport, like arguing with the lady. Was like, I need to get on this flight. Like, you don't understand.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, but it was because I wasn't trusting myself. Like, I was
Mm.
double questioning myself. Even though I had made all these plans and had an itinerary, I still didn't trust it. Um, so I think it's like solo travel really like builds your confidence to kind of like trust your journey and like trust that you know what you're doing. And if you don't, that you're gonna figure it out.
Yeah, I love that. Trust your journey and you'll figure it out. I don't typically travel by myself for fun, but for business, I travel by myself all the time during my day job. And I have to say that my favorite part of it is traveling in the airport and going places by myself. Like,
Yeah.
I just totally enjoy it. And maybe because at this stage of my life, I don't have much alone time or much time by myself. So I'm like, all right, I'm on the plane by myself. I'm like, I don't really want to make friends or talk to people, right? And if I do, I just start talking to somebody, but
Right.
I just like that I have the freedom of the choice. And I have friends who are like, oh my God, how do you get around? I was like, get around? It's 22,000. It's called Google. Like, especially now with technology, I feel like it can be a lot safer and you have a lot more resources at your fingertips.
Yeah.
I traveled right after college on a trip, backpacking through Europe. And I'm going to age myself. I'm 44, so this was like 24 years ago. We did not have obviously Google or technology. And at that time we were just traveling with all these the books, the like go to Europe, backpacking through Europe book. And I think then too it was just, but I wasn't by myself. It was five girls. But it was just interesting, and yeah, we really had to trust ourselves a lot and just like
Yeah.
go where we wanted to go, not being connected to like the outcome of like where we end up, but more like, oh my God, the experience together.
Yeah.
And I'm sure when you travel, it sounds like you immerse yourself in the culture. Or what have you got from some cultures?
Um, I think, well, my biggest the one of the reasons I do travel is to really experience and like learn other cultures. Um, I'm just like really interested. I'm just interested in like knowing how other people live. Like, is this such a like there people are so different, but like we're also so alike. So it's just so
Hmm.
interesting when you go to different places and you are able to connect with somebody on like a very interesting level and build relationships or get recommendations for places and such. Hold on, what was your question again?
Oh, sorry. It's like, when you go and you learn different cultures, me too. I'm so intrigued. That's also another reason why I do like New York is because I can meet people from all over the place, right? And speaking different languages. And I love French. Like, I love my mom. I think my mom jumped on here. She speaks French. My grandfather and my grandparents did. And I just love it. And I was in Geneva a few years. And the only thing I like to say was like, bonjour. Like, I was just like, I ruined the language. I have like this New York accent. I ruin their language, but whatever. But when you go, I just liked the other the like the rituals of other cultures, like in some areas it's like this is what they do for breakfast, or this is how they walk, or they just take more time and live, not like
Yeah.
Americans that are rushing and working so often. Like,
Yeah.
do they take siestas? I was like, oh, that just feels so lovely. Like
Yeah.
I was just curious, like, what have you taken anything from one of your experiences and like incorporated into your life, or like what really stuck with you from another culture?
Um, that's a good question. Let me see.
Yadi ate her way through many countries. We have a comment. So thank you, Yadi. She ate her way through many countries. And then we had another Min Lyons. She traveled for the first time internationally to the Bahamas in January, and she enjoyed herself so much more. I enjoyed myself. Like, that's nice. Like, you could really learn about yourself too if given the chance.
Yeah, yeah, and what you were saying about like kind of what you take away from other like the places that you travel and such like that. One of the big things I take away from is like food. Like
Mm.
I kind of get ideas around like, oh, you can cook that like that. I never thought about like making that like that. Like I remember I took a cooking class in Morocco when I went around February of last year for the first time, and the lady who was teaching us, she just put peppers, whole peppers, right on the burner and just like charred them like that. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know you could do that. So I do that now. And I'm like, it gives the pepper like this kind of like smoky flavor. Cause we live in New York. It's not like we have a grill or a patio to like kind of
Yeah.
like get these smoky vegetables. But it's like these little things that you like learn when you travel. It's like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. Oh, I didn't know that tasted like that. Oh, this is really good. Like, how can I incorporate this into like the way that I cook, or the way that I may want to make something for someone. So yeah, definitely food is a big one.
And it seems like for you, you bring back accessories,
Yeah.
like you bring back, and is that like, how did you merge your love for travel and Blake and Rose?
Yeah, so about last year, I ended up getting laid off from a job that I really liked. But it gave me a lot of time to kind of just like sit and think about like, oh, what do I really enjoy? Like, what do I like? And I was like, oh, well, I love going to markets. It's like, I grew up going to markets every Saturday. We would go to the farmer's market and get like fresh produce and like all our vegetables and stuff for the week. So going to markets for me is something that's like really important. And I think when you travel to other countries, when you go to markets, you really get to see and experience the culture, because you're going to see the language, you're going to see the foods that they eat, you're going to see the way people dress, you're going to see the way people interact with each other. You so much. It's like markets are the lifelines of many international communities, especially in Africa, where I usually try to travel the most. So bringing handbags, or right now handbags, and eventually expanding it out to other accessories for yourself and home, it really just gives you a piece of that, a piece of going or traveling to these places. And it really just shows you kind of what these places are known for. Like I was saying earlier, like Morocco's really known for their leather. They have really amazing leather, and dyeing processes and crafts and artisanships. And if anybody has ever been there that's watching, like if you've ever stayed in like a traditional riad, the hand painting, the details and the architecture, is just like so beautiful, and it's centuries old, and it's been passed down within families who have been doing things for 400 or 500 years. So it's beautiful to be a part and like see the things that kind of create and make them who they are essentially. So
And yeah, so go on Blake and Rose and check them out, because I've seen them, and you can tell that you just have a great eye for it as well. So they're beautiful. But now that there's limited travel, what are you doing? How are you getting that feelings of travel, that like what makes traveling so fulfilling for you? How are you tapping that into now when our passports are like denied?
I know our passports are like having a sheet of paper at this point. Like nobody wants us. It's embarrassing. Like, but yeah, it's been hard because as somebody who travels frequently, like be to like have to sit down someplace, like, and you have no
Yeah.
choice in it, it's been like, ah, like twitching, like I need to go someplace, like I need to get away, like so. Right now, like I just kind of like ate it for a while, just like, you know what, I just need to sit down. Like, I mean, this
Mm-hmm.
sitting down has saved me so much money. I was like, wow, I spent a lot of money on travel.
Mm-hmm.
Like, um, so it was nice to be able to like build up my funds some more. And I actually decided to book a trip to Mexico for 2 weeks, because I was just like, I need to get away. I need to recharge. I've been looking at these walls for since March.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to actually book someplace and go somewhere, and do it as best as do it as safely as possible. So I booked like an Airbnb with a pool that I had by myself, like so I can socially distance if I choose not to be around people. Um,
Yeah.
so I think it's just like that's what I'm doing for me. I know some people are still really frightened to travel, or either just cannot travel because either they're caring for somebody
Mm-hmm.
who has issues with their health and they don't want to put them in jeopardy, or all types of different reasons. But there's so many different ways to kind of still get that travel. I know a lot of tourism boards have like live cams of like I think is it Bermuda or no, Bahamas or Aruba or someplace has like a live cam of like the beach, and you can like get into their tourism board website and
Hmm.
just see like this beach like all day long. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's just like there's so many different ways. Like reading, like I'm subscribed to Condé Nast Traveler, so I like get that magazine every month, and it kind of just helps me think about like what I want to do when the world opens back up, and kind of plan for where I want to see myself next year. So that's just some of the things that I'm doing to kind of feed my travel bug, even though I can't really
Yeah,
travel.
no, that makes sense. It's like, yes, they did open up, like, yeah, put on a bathing suit and, watch Aruba pass you by is nice. And, right, read a magazine of where you're going to go and, like, start planning trips. But it's like, it's just interesting. What do you get out of travel? Like, what, if you can tell everyone listening, like, why travel? Like, why do you travel?
I mean, I truly travel like for the experience. Like I think that's pretty much like my life's motto is like, I mean, I'll try it, whatever. Like like I'm very much like, okay, like I'll give it a go. I randomly booked a trip to Ethiopia last year because I saw an episode of Anthony Bourdain in Ethiopia, and I was like, I want to live in
Mm.
Ethiopia. And then I went there and I was like, I love Ethiopia, but I don't want to live here. And like, so it traveling just kind of fuels like my curiosity to like experience more. Like it's just so much to see out there, like so much outside of our bubble of like our everyday. And I know it can be really hard sometimes, especially with everything going on, to like look away, but like for your mental health and like your
Yeah.
sanity, sometimes you literally have to like take a second and like reset. And traveling is one of the things that really helps me do that. When I travel quite frequently, like when I come back and I go back to work, I feel more on it. I feel more on top of things. I feel more energized. I feel like I've reset and I'm able to like conquer more things. So those are a couple of reasons why I really like to travel.
Yeah, and I like earlier you said that traveling and like experiences and when you meet new people, it's like even though from on the outside it might seem like we have so much different, there's so many differences, but yet on the inside I think we're all really more alike than
Yeah,
we actually recognize.
yeah,
And that like if we leave outside our bubble,
yeah,
and I think, it offers us more chances to be compassionate and
yeah,
to realize that, you know what, we're all doing the best we can and experiencing life in different ways. And there's really no right or wrong. It's just a beautiful way. And I mean, similarly, I love to see how other people live. And while I don't get to travel as much as I would love, um, I like your tips on how I can get the travel bug without traveling quite yet. So thank you for that.
yeah, no problem. Yeah.
And also, just as we're starting to wrap up, I ask everybody about self-care. Like, especially now, it's really important for women to have a self-care practice. So I'm curious, what is yours?
Let's see. I actually recently started therapy, so that's a good self-care.
That really
Yeah.
is.
I was like, let me just go ahead and bite this bullet. I'm just gonna go ahead and jump into this. Like, I've had free time. I've been able to save money, so like, let's go ahead and dive into some things since we can do that. So yeah, I think like if you are able to participate in therapy, then I would highly suggest it. Also, just doing things like kind of getting up and like moving. I know, especially working from home, like I can end up sitting in this seat from like 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and just get up for like to walk around the apartment and not go outside for 2 days. But it's important to kind of just like keep like go outside and get like some fresh air or try to throw something in your routine, like either getting up earlier in the morning to like work out, which is something I've done, or either working out after work or connecting with people in some sort of way, like making plans for having a picnic in the park or whatever, like connecting with people if you need to do that. But yeah, especially right now, like we really we want to make sure that our minds are like still holding together during this time so that we can be like our best selves
Our
because you
best
can't pour from an empty cup. So
Exactly, exactly. And that's so good. Like, I think you hit the big three, therapy, movement, and community.
yeah.
And if anybody is out there, you have wrapped this up perfectly and needs any of that therapy, well, you could research that. Movements, we've had movement on Beyond Small Talk. And community. Join Beyond Small Talk. Go over to Blake and Rose. She has beautiful blog posts, and there's a community there as well. But that is such a great tip. I think community has been almost like number one on mine to move through these past months and wherever it shall take us, but having a strong community of women to support each other. So thank you, thank you, thank you for being on here. I'm so grateful for
Thank
that.
you for having me. This was so fun.
Yes, I mean, this is great. And thank you for your tips and tools and encouraging everyone on to look through their closet. Where are you putting your money and your mind around your money? Where would you want your money to go? Where are you putting the energy? And to really consider this more minimalist life and what it can offer you. I think that was a really, really insightful tip that you had to offer. And in the beginning, I'm sure it feels a little scary, like, oh my God, I'm throwing my shit out. But
Yeah.
then just think of it like that. It's just shit, right? Like,
Yeah,
do you really
exactly.
need it at the
Then
end
you
of the
notice
day?
it's like, oh, I haven't even thought about it, or like you're like, I'm gonna
Right.
do that anyway.
Yeah. And look at the reward that you get out of it. And for you, it's travel and your experiences and culture and learning different cultures, which is beautiful. So thank you so much for joining me today. Oh, thank you for everyone who came on and listened to Beyond Small Talk every Thursday at the 4 o'clock hour. And if you want to catch us again, it's on IG Live TV and on Spotify. We'll check the link in the bio and you can swipe and get this by tomorrow and any other past episodes. Thank you, Leah. Again, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for listening. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.